Welcome to the main Slate Mashup, hosted by season-long DFS. I am Jamie, as usual, and I'm joined by Liam and Rich, again, as per usual. How are you boys doing?
Yeah, not too bad. A few days of Christmas now, isn't it, Jamie? It's coming ever closer, so
yeah, wonderful, isn't it? How are you, Rich?
I'm good. Yeah. Birthday tomorrow.
The big 4-0. Jeez.
Nah, it's just my. No, so yeah, lots of exciting plans. I've got, with COVID and stuff, just
spending a bit of time in the kitchen.
Well, it's just more to watch a TV show on Netflix or a film. The possibilities are endless.
Rich, how old are you going to be?
33.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Liam, how old are you?
23.
Okay, how old do you boys think I am?
I'm going to say you're 40.
Liam?
I was going to say like 38.
I'm 37 in January.
Okay.
40?
40.
I thought you were trying to be polite as well.
No, I always try and go over.
Is that because I've got no hair? It's all been shaved off again.
Yeah, and just your general demeanour. Yeah, it's quite
miserable twat.
Yeah, exactly. So that ages you a little bit as well.
That's fair. I can accept that. Should we stop nattering and get straight on with the main slate?
Yeah, let's get this off and crack on.
Let's get on. It's the last one of the year, isn't it? Or is it not?
Well, it'll be 17, and there's with playoffs as well, which are fun slates to play. Like, I always love playing the playoff ones. But yeah, it's probably the last one that majority of people will play, I would say.
Yeah. All right, let's start with our high price QBs. Pre-birthday boy, Rich, start us off.
Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, shock.
Yeah, shock, horror. Patrick Mahomes is elite level fantasy quarterback, and he's going up against the Falcons. It doesn't need to be difficult.
I think that's all you need to really say about Patrick Mahomes there, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm guessing he was on all of our lists.
Yeah.
Okay, Liam, hit us up with your first QB high price you like.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts, 7K. Past 2 weeks, absolutely balled out, quite frankly. Especially last week, of course, I was on the Philadelphia-Arizona game quite a lot in terms of stacking, and it won me a fair bit of money. And I'm back on it this week, especially with Dallas. It's going to be quite a high-scoring game. Hurts proved last week that he can, do well. It's like 40-plus points, I believe, something like that last week, which is
40
crazy.
Yeah,
exactly. There you go. Dallas is the best defense in the world, despite them, causing trouble to a few QBs the past few weeks. And he's playing for a starting job next season at the end of the day. As bad as Wentz has been, if Hurts does, have a few bad weeks, Wentz is back in the game. So I think Hurts is going to need to perform well, and I think he will perform well and keep that starting job for next season.
The question I have about Hurts is, last week against Arizona, it was a shootout.
Yeah.
Against Dallas, is it going to be a shootout, do you think? That's my only concern, is maybe the Eagles get up and then they just run the ball.
I think it will be. I think this Philadelphia defense in the secondary is that bad that it will have to be.
Is Slate back? I know they were missing their 3 top DBs, weren't they? That's something to watch out for.
I mean, obviously, it's so early in the week, we don't know. But I'd assume, yes, he would be. But I'm not a big fan of that secondary either way, whether he's there or not.
You're getting rushing yards from him and touchdowns.
Yeah, exactly. He's got a floor. It was the same argument with Kyler Murray earlier in the season, wasn't it? So, yeah, I like him at 7K. I think he's not underpriced, but about where he should be.
Yeah. I will go to mine, which is Deshaun Watson at 7,600 going up against the Bengals at home. The last couple of weeks, and and specifically like last week against the Colts, I saw the game, I watched the highlights, and I just thought, wow, Deshaun Watson really does deserve better, doesn't he? he's just playing unbelievably. For me, he's top 3 QB in the league. He's brilliant. And if it wasn't for a QT fumble, there's a chance that they win last week against the Colts. So he scored 27.42 points last week with only 2 touchdowns, 373 yards. As everyone could see on the screen if you're watching the video. I just think it doesn't matter who he's throwing the ball to, he will make them better. So, was it Hansen? Is it Chad Hansen or something?
Yeah, Hansen.
Yeah, Chad Hansen. Anyone heard of him before the last couple of weeks?
Not before, what, 3 weeks ago? No.
Exactly. Deshaun Watson makes his receiving cast better. So yeah, and against the Bengals, I don't care about what the Bengals did to the Steelers. The Steelers are playing some really bad football at the moment. And I think Houston could absolutely wallop the Bengals. I don't see it being a shootout. Do you boys seeing potentially this being a shootout?
I could, I think, maybe not last night, but the Houston defense isn't particularly good. And I think there's every chance we could see, Cincinnati putting a few points on the board and making Watson's maybe sweat a bit. But I do think Houston will be in control of this game, or you'd like to think so at least. Obviously, we thought that with Pittsburgh last night, and that exactly happened, did it?
No, but yeah, the Texans aren't going to run the ball.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's put it that way. Has anybody got anyone else? Rich?
Always honourable mention to Justin Herbert.
Yep, I was just highlighting him before you said it.
Always worth an honourable mention. Like this offense is predicated through the air, so he's always worth a go going against Denver. Their defense isn't like overly worrying.
The defense is awful at the moment.
Yeah, and I'm expecting Keenan Allen and Mike. I can't remember seeing any news on Mike Evans, so maybe he might be. Yeah, but Keenan Allen, I think, he should be expected to play in this game. Austin Eckler's looked a lot better since he's come back from injury, and Ben seems to be rolling. So
yeah, and the last matchup against the Broncos, he was 278 and 3 with 2 interceptions. So not bad. Anyone else, Liam?
Not for me, no.
No, me neither. Liam, start us off on running backs.
Pretty obvious one. David Montgomery, 7,700.
My list.
Yeah, should be on everyone's list, really. Fantasy RB1 the past 4 weeks, I believe.
Yep.
You see 100% attention in the backfield. Of course, there's sprinkles of Cordell Patterson, but it's Cordell Patterson the day. He's not a threat to David Montgomery, and the past 4 weeks have proven that. 33 touches last week, absolutely ridiculous amount. And it could be the same again against Jacksonville. Jacksonville aren't a good rush defense as we've seen the whole season, but the past few weeks especially. And 31 DK points given up per game since week 11. And I'm fully expecting Montgomery to keep that trend up and keep that sort of level of touches up.
Well, if you look at the last 4 weeks, so he's had 28, 27, 27, 32. You're looking at nearly 4 times value.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is great. And he's in. I looked back at his last 3 weeks. 60 rush attempts, 331 yards, 5 touchdowns, and then 10 targets, 8 catches, and 97 yards receiving. So he's seen the target as well. He could literally, he could probably go off. Because the end of the game against the Vikings, he saw, what was it, 32 attempts he saw, which is massive. They don't trust Trubisky to finish the game off. Well, he threw that interception, didn't he? So if they Chicago get up by 14 points, which is quite possible, I suspect we're going to see a heavy, heavy dose of David Montgomery this week. I wouldn't be surprised to see another 30-odd carries. Why not? They're still in playoff hunt. They need to win. Putting up points will be fun. Rich, hit us up, mate. Who have you got?
There are a couple of ones that are kind of undenied about, but I think ultimately I'm just going to land on J.K. Dobbins, 6,200 against the Giants.
Convince me.
Convince you?
Yep.
Well, the Ravens offense somewhat got back on track against Jacksonville. He's getting the majority of the touches out of the backfield. I think, his receiving work isn't particularly there, but against the Giants, who have struggled against running backs, we could see Dobbins getting to the end zone a couple of times because he's being used in the red zone. For me, there was a lot of other question marks outside of Montgomery for the high price guys, which I'm sure I'm going to mention when you mention your high price running back.
Let me have a quick look. Who have I got? One of mine. Montgomery was the top of my list, but I'll go straight to Austin Eckler. I think this game I think this will be a shootout. I really do. I think on the other side of the ball, I think Drew Lock will have a good game. This Chargers defense isn't all that. It's not great. Drew Lock will throw out a couple of interceptions, but he's a gunslinger. He'll throw the ball around. You can run on this defense. You can pass on the Denver defense. Eckler's great at running, great at catching the ball. Last week, 13 for 60, 4 targets, 4 receptions, 19 yards against the Raiders. No one expected that. I expect a bounce-back game from Eckler here, nearer the kind of 23 points that he scored against Buffalo and Atlanta. Rich, is that someone who you were umming and ahhing about?
I was umming and ahhing about it. I don't. The thing for me is I'm worried about Denver's side. I don't think this will be a shootout.
I think Denver will put points up. For some reason, I can't. I just get a feeling, but you tell me why not.
I just think we saw the blueprint on how to absolutely dismantle Denver when we watched the Bills play.
Charges on the
pressure, and you can't deal with it. The Chargers aren't the Bills, but they still got a formidable defensive line.
Yep.
And guys that can put Lock under pressure. We're talking about Drew Lock, who
I know,
is the most accurate guy in the world. I mean, just a couple of weeks ago, he tried to finish a game by throwing the ball out long downfield and completed a pass because it was inside the hash mark, inside the. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not sold on it being a shootout at all. That's my worry. And with the price, I'm not sure if you're going to see value for it. That's like my biggest concern.
That's fair. Liam, what do you think about Austin Eckler?
Yeah, I don't mind him this week. I think, personally, for my lineup build so far, I'm only paying up for one RB in my lineups just because of what I like at wide receiver and at tight end. So hint on there. But yeah, for me, I think it's Montgomery if you're paying up. Eckler's okay, but I think what you're getting out of other running backs in that price range is a bit better for me than what you get in Austin Eckler.
That's fair. Rich? Oh, in fact, no, Liam. I'm leaving you out. What have you got, mate?
Not a lot more. I was ever and about Nick Chubb, but from what we saw of Cam Akers against that Jets rush defense, kind of put me off. And there's also Antonio Gibson at 6,600, but is he actually healthy? No one knows. So yeah, that was kind of maybe Tony Pollard actually. Obviously last week we saw him, against San Francisco actually ball out, and he was the king of the late swaps. So he did late swaps. You pretty much had Pollard in your lineup. So maybe he's worth a look at 6,500 this week against Philly. But no one that really stood out for me at these price ranges.
I've got one more. I've got one more that is I don't want to say no to for some reason. It's Miles Sanders. Rich's face kind of says it all. It's as if he was umming and ahhing as well.
No, it's like basically I kind of felt like Liam. Liam kind of suggested, which is I looked at the guys that were in this price range, and I was just like, about a lot of them. For me personally, I'd rather spend up on Dave Montgomery than just spend down at the position because Dallas's defense have somewhat improved in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I will say, sorry, Rich, that looking at some data now, and Dallas in the past since week 11 is the 31st worst rush defense in the league. They've given up 31.4 DK points to running back position. It's only worse than by Houston. So on that basis, it's a good play.
As well as Sanders.
Yes, and on that basis, it could be quite a sneaky pick.
That's the only reason I'm thinking about Miles Sanders, because Hurts, I think he should open the game up for bloody Miles Sanders.
You'd like to think so.
Well, yeah, you'd like to think, wouldn't you? Rich, who else have you got, mate?
That was it.
That was it. Liam?
Yeah, that was it for me. As I mentioned a few, but
yeah,
mostly Montgomery for me.
Yeah, that was it for me as well. Rich, start us off with wide receivers.
Tyreek the Freak. I don't really know what to say. Like, he's going against it's pretty much similar to Patrick Mahomes. Like, he's an elite fantasy option. He's going against the Atlanta defense.
Yeah.
Do I have a slight concern about his hamstring that seems like it's niggling? Yeah, but I'm spending up high at the position, and then I can always pivot away. And if that's the case, then Sammy Watkins becomes an immediate start. So.
Yeah. Liam, who have you got?
I had Hill as well. Just to add on that, like, doesn't matter what target share Hill seems to get, he seems to just do well. Like, that's
the thing; he's uber efficient, isn't he?
Yeah.
Like, if he catches it, any pass can go.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes him such a good player, and that's why you suggested Rich. So, and yeah, he's probably been most of my tournament lineups at the very least, if not cash. Other guy I liked, obviously Allen Robinson, 7,700. Jacksonville can't defend anything.
They're fucking awful.
And yeah, Robinson didn't have the best week last week. 83 yards is okay, but I think he expected a bit more against Minnesota.
I did.
And I think this week could be that week. Trubisky's a bit like Haskins and McLaurin. He's only really got eyes for Robinson in many senses.
Yeah.
And I'm expecting a bounce back game from Robinson this week.
Okay.
The issue that Robinson had last week was that Montgomery was just too successful.
Yeah.
So, if you have the option between giving it to Trubisky and hoping he completes the pass, or handing it off to Montgomery, who's having success, you don't give it to Trubisky.
Yeah, and I will say also, obviously, don't play Montgomery Robinson in the same lineups, because as I saw last week, it's a negative correlation. So just don't do that.
Yeah, I'm going to have a lineup with both of them in it, I suspect, for the simple reason that
Jamie needs to be different.
I think I think the Bears will get up early. I think Robinson's got a good chance of 100 and a touch, maybe. I think they'll pass early, and then they'll finish the game off running the ball and just pounding the ball at the end. So you're kind of getting the best of both worlds there. Okay, but it's a risky play, especially with both of them at 7,700. Okay. But I can see where you boys are coming from about it is a bit kind of, well, if you play both, one might go off and one might not. I just got in my head that they'll pass early and then they'll finish the game off running the ball. But what do I know? I stacked Robinson and fucking Trubisky last week. That worked out well for one of my lineups. I'm going second highest on the slate, most expensive, Calvin Ridley against the Chiefs. I didn't hear many of those Matt Ryan haters at the weekend about how trash he was.
That's because you have them on mute already.
He balled out.
That's just because you have them on mute already.
No, I don't have anybody on mute. Wow, I have a couple of people on mute. Who am I saying?
Block. It's because you blocked them then. Yeah.
No, I don't block them. They're all Falcons fans. They're all idiots. Yeah, Calvin Ridley's he's on fire the last couple of weeks. 35 points against Tampa Bay, 163 and a touch, 29.4 against the Chargers, 124 and a touch. I think we all know the Chiefs are going to put up points against the Falcons. and we all know the Falcons are not going to run the ball. So I'm not saying this has shootout appeal at all, because it's not going to be a shootout. It's going to be a blowout. But the Falcons could post 30 odd points. Could. And it ain't going to be through running the ball. So even at Ridley at 8,500, I think Julio's had, I think, plasma platelet injections to try and help his injury heal so he can play the last couple. But I said last week, I don't expect him to play the rest of the season. I'll be surprised if he does. But either way, Julio or no Julio, I'm starting Calvin Ridley. I really like him. And I don't, even with that price at 8,500 for me. Rich, who else have you got?
Same honourable mention kind of guy, Keenan Allen. It's the same. Like every week, I just feel like these two, let's scrub last game, because the last game he wasn't going to be a player. Like he was. Everyone was reporting that if he was going to play in the game, he was going to be severely limited. So.
And some people were taking high five laps, saying, "Oh, it's the best decision we ever made resting." Saying you to swerve Keenan Allen.
Yeah. So I just think he'll be rested. He'll be back, and I think Herbert's going to be moving the ball through the air, and Keenan Allen is his first, second, and third read. Well, second might be Eckler, but yeah, you get my point. So the targets will be there, receptions will be there. If he gets into the end zone, which he has managed to do quite a few times this season, then we'll see a decent stat line.
Well, his last game against Denver, he was 9 for 12 for 67 and a touch, 21.7 points. So,
yeah, you play that.
That's 3 times value, isn't it? Liam, who else have you got?
I'll open this up to you guys as well if you want to talk about him. But Jarvis Landry is an interesting one for me this week. Obviously, his price has actually been about his price for the past 2 or 3 weeks. But, the Jets are definitely targetable via the slot, if anywhere. And I've kind of been debating whether to sort of recommend him or not, just because I feel like his target share has been pretty consistent over the past, since Odell's been injured, quite frankly. And is he on your guys' list in terms of players you're considering?
He's not.
Okay.
He would be the guy that I would play for cash, but I don't think I'd play in GPPs, because I feel like his ceiling is always capped somewhat. I know it probably doesn't help that you're looking in these last 2 games, you can just see that 30-point game and a 20-point game. But generally, his outcome is around about that kind of 20 points. Maybe as a kind of ceiling.
He's dropped 1,000 in price as well since posting 19.1 points last week. So, which I don't get.
100, is it 100 rather than 1,000?
Yeah, sorry, 100, not 1,000. 100.
I wish it was 1,000.
Yeah.
Jamie's good with numbers, so.
You know me, mate. You know me. I think with Land, I did look at him, and then I immediately kind of thought, I want to go and see what Higgins is. And Higgins is a fair bit cheaper. He's seeing 5, 6 odd targets, but he's doing okay with it. I can see where Rich is coming from with regards to Landry and GPP and cash games. You kind of, what you're pretty much going to get with him, really. A very solid, safe floor. And sometimes sometimes you need that. I've got one more. Welcome back to my list, Deontay Johnson. Don't give a shit about the drops. Who cares? What happened? So they not rested him. He dropped a couple of balls against Buffalo, and then they sat him for most of the game, and the other receivers did fuck all. They lost yesterday against the Bengals, 59 yards off 13 targets. Jesus Christ. And a touchdown. So we got 19 points. Pittsburgh aren't going to be throwing the ball deep. everything I've seen from Big Ben over the last couple of weeks has been 10, 15 yards, if that. And that's where Deontay Johnson eats. He's a fantastic route runner. You can pass on the Colts. Deshaun Watson showed that with subpar receivers. Deontay Johnson, if he sorts his drops out, some of them are bad. Let's be honest. He's a wide receiver 1 if he doesn't drop the ball as much. What do you boys think about Deontay this week?
Yeah, I mean, I've always liked him as a player like you, Jamie, and had him last night to trade on captain. Did okay. Shame he didn't have Gio Bernard at the same time though, but it's what it is. Yeah, you can't ignore the target share, right? As you said, like it's just crazy high every week, pretty much. Not sure. I'll be getting there in tournaments definitely. I'm sure we'll be doing the same, Jamie, but I'm not sure regarding cash that I'd be saying, oh yeah, Deontay Johnson's like a straight like lock in my lineups. But yeah, I definitely like him a lot. In general.
I was looking and thinking, well, what about Juju? What about Chase Claypool? Claypool's not a huge part of that offense right now. He just doesn't seem. He's not since his kind of 4 touchdown explosion game. He's kind of been just a bit meh. Whereas at least with Deontay Johnson, you kind of know he's going to get 8 to 10 targets as a minimum.
Yeah.
Jesus, he got 7 targets against Buffalo and he played a quarter basically. Big Ben is a short to intermediate thrower. Big Ben is basically what Drew Brees is now. And yeah, I think 6'3" is not bad. Rich, do you like or hate Deontay?
Neither.
Is he part of the meh?
Yeah, I feel like he's just part of meh. He gets the target share, which is exactly what you want. And as you said, Big Ben seems like he wants to get him involved in the offense. I'm not massively worried about the drops either. He is, without doubt, the most dynamic pass catcher that they have.
Yeah.
So if they want to win, they want to try and get him the ball. And it's no coincidence that since he started struggling, the Steelers have started struggling.
Yeah.
So
Agreed. Anyone got anybody else? Or are we happy to move on to the most obvious tight ends in the world?
Yeah, let's move on. Yeah.
Let's move on.
Okay, I'm not gonna ask you boys who your number 1 person is, but I'm just gonna put him up on the screen, and then you guys can start talking. It's Travis Kelce for anyone who's listening to the podcast.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty simple, right? Just pay up for your studs, and especially ones that match up proof like Kelce. As you see if you're watching the YouTube side of things, 3 back-to-back weeks of 10+ targets, running routes, high team titles every week. Not much else I can say really. He's a wide receiver 1 playing at tight end, so yeah, just play him.
Rich, anything else, or you just?
No. I think Lynn covered it. Like it is what it is, right?
Yeah. It's don't mess around. It's flipping Travis Kelce. He's just a bit of a beast. He needs like 60 yards to beat Kittle's single season receiving record as well.
Which he had, if you remember.
Yeah.
He had the record for, I think, a quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he'll be wanting to get that back, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think he'll probably get that in the first quarter.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Okay, you boys, I've got him on my list as well. Rich?
Yep.
Logan Thomas.
I'm ready.
Look at his face. Look at his face. He's so proud now. He's kind of, I've been digging for him for God knows how long, and then I ditched him, and now he's good, and I'm coming back again.
It's just like, yeah, I'm ready to be hurt again. So that's kind of where I am with it. He's getting targets, which is exactly, if you can get that in a tight end, like that's gold dust, because this position is so touchdown or bust. It seems like the Washington offense is aiming towards him quite often. Haskins coming in it seems like he's improved the offense, so it seems like it's maybe that kind of new QB just gives everyone like a little lift.
Yeah.
While he's stripped up.
Yeah, he gave himself a lift, that's for sure.
Yeah. And against Carolina, we've seen this season that they're vulnerable to tight ends. So there you go.
Anyone else, boys?
No, not from me.
I presume that's it for you as well, Rich.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
All right, defenses. Liam starts off.
Considering the most expensive one's 4K, I'm going to class Los Angeles Rams as an expensive defense this week at 3,100. The last time you didn't. Oh, okay. Well, I've mentioned them now, so might as well carry on.
Yeah,
they scored 13 points last time these two met in week 10. And as I mentioned, usually with Seattle, they're turnover prone, quite frankly. Wilson's getting sacked 2.8 times per game now after he didn't get sacked last week, and he's throwing almost a pick every game. So, and we've got a track record now that Los Angeles can get to Wilson quite well. It seems like they should be more expensive in my opinion. I'm not too worried about Seattle putting up loads of points in this game. I like them a lot in a bounce back game.
Rich, anyone?
We've just mentioned the two guys that are going against New York, so both of them are worth consideration. Ravens and Browns. New York, both offenses in New York have struggled with protection and sometimes getting their offense moving at times. So they're both worth consideration. I quite like Liam's pick of the Rams though, because I think they will feel embarrassed of their performance last game out. So I think Aaron Donald in particular will be probably looking to get at least 11 sacks, I imagine, in this game.
Yeah.
I always feel bad for Russell Wilson because every snap, Aaron Donald is going to be like, I want to know.
I'm in your face, mate. I'm in your face.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I had the Rams as in the kind of mid to low. I probably shouldn't have. I didn't look at the price of the Ravens. So I'll move the Rams up into mine kind of high. I really like the Rams. You boys have said everything I need to say about them, really. My other one is the Colts against the Steelers. We've seen in the last couple of games, the Steelers are vulnerable. I have no idea what's happening. Big Ben's getting sacked a few times as well. And this Colts defense is just good. It's just really, really good. They're pretty solid in what you're going to get from them. So if you look at the season, what they had, I think the worst is against Tennessee when Derrick Henry ran all over them. But 11 points, 15 points, 7, 4, 26, 15. I think you're probably in for a kind of you kind of know what you're going to get with them, really. I think you're probably going to get somewhere from 5 to 10 points. And for defense, I'm always happy with that. What do you boys think about the Colts?
Yeah, as you mentioned, Big Ben this last couple of weeks has been pretty poor.
Yeah.
It's a nice floor, I think, for a defense, which is strange to say. If you don't fancy the Rams, then I think the Colts are a great option for sure.
Lovely jubbly. Shall we get on to the mid to low price?
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right, I'm going to start this one. Can you boys guess who I'm going for?
I feel like you're going to say Matt Ryan.
Ding, 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 ding.
There you go.
Yeah. I think the price is, what is he? He's gone up 400 for 356 and 3 against the Bucks. The Chiefs defensively, especially against the pass, are pretty good. The thing that's kind of drawing me in with this is the Falcons are not going to run the ball. We're a passing team. We have to pass the ball. So Matt Ryan could get another 300 plus yards, a couple of touchdowns, and probably a couple of interceptions. But as I say, with the interceptions, you're losing a point on DraftKings. It's not something. That's why it's like last year with Jameis Winston. Yeah, he threw an interception here or there, but you knew you were always going to get loads more points anyway because he was going to throw touchdowns. If Julio's back, I don't think he will be. It's a bonus for him, but I think the Falcons have got to put up points and they know it. So I think this is a kind of, I think the floor is probably 15, 16 points. The ceiling's 35. Anyone else got anything to add to that, or is it just me being a bit of a homer?
No, I think you covered it, to be fair.
Yeah, I think you covered it. I would say probably more of a GBP play for me than a cash game play because I'm just worried about the variance in his performance.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Rich, who have you got?
Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah.
It's one of these where I'm like, I don't know if I trust it, but I feel like
He's
it's
played well the last 3 games.
It's Jacksonville. That's the thing. Like, it's more the matchup for me. I think Aaron Robinson's going to have a good game, which means Trubisky will have a good game as a result. So I'm sure Liam will have more in-depth analysis on Trubisky.
I mean, well, not really. I mean, he can easily achieve value right at that price. So we always say this with like these subpar 6K QBs. Like, if they throw 2 touchdowns and go for 200 yards, and even if they throw a pick, they can still get that 4 times value that you may ideally want anyway. And as you said, Rich, like Jacksonville are a bad defense in general. I'm not expecting them to be able to disrupt Mitch too much. So it should be a clean pocket most of the time. And I think they'll have complete control of the game. So, and apparently Mitch Trubisky's been involved in the playbook a bit more, so that's interesting.
What, he's actually read it?
Yeah, well, maybe.
Just playing a lot of Madden. That's all it is.
Whatever works.
Whatever works. Liam?
That was it. Yeah, Mitch is mine. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I had Matt Ryan, obviously, and I mentioned this boy earlier. Yeah, I've got to scroll all the way down. It's Drew Lock. He's 5,000. He's gone up against the Chargers. Last game against them, 248 and 3. He's very up and down. Very up and down. So you get anywhere from 11 points to like 30 points of him. I think this could be a sneaky bit of a shootout game. So if I think that, I'm going to like Drew Lock. And especially at 5,000, I thought it would be cheaper. He's a gunslinger. He's going to launch the ball all over the field. So yeah, 5,000. Give me some Drew Lock. I'll have a lineup with him in it for a real kind of high ceiling hope. Rich, you probably hate it, I'm guessing.
I don't hate it. It's just for me, it's GBP. I'm not playing it. I'm not doing it in cash. No way. But GBP, he is going to be low owned.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Yeah. Agreed. Let's go running back. Liam, start us off.
Okay, yeah. So Darrell Henderson for me. I'm sure he's on all of our lists after the Cam Akers news.
Yep.
Yeah, he's 4,500 really. We've seen in past weeks how with Henderson getting the bulk of the workload, in how that he's proven to be a pretty good price option. I think it's weeks 2, 3, and 5 where we did like really well in terms of getting what the 4 times value you need, as I spoke about with the QBs. And yeah, I think we get the bulk of touches. I don't believe Sean McVay and his Malcolm Brown's going to get heavily involved in the offense. I think he might be in the red zone, but that'll be about it. And this past few weeks, there's been a lot of plaudits for Seattle's defense, but against running backs, they're poor. Since week 11, they're ranked 27th in RB scoring, giving up 25.4 DK points per game to the position. So whilst they've stopped being bad against the wide receivers, they've given up more on the ground now. So they've gone from being bad at one thing to being bad at another thing. And I like Henderson to, at this price at least, to do well in your lineups.
Rich, got anything else to say about that? Because I know he's on your list.
Yeah, he's on my list, as is Malcolm Brown. I mean, it's going to be one of these two guys. As you can actually see it on YouTube, if you're watching it, it says you got a quote from Sean McVay, says that they should both get work, and as for the fix, he's not really sure. So
sounds like flipping Pete Carroll.
Yeah, one of these guys is going to go off. So I think for me, I'm going to have exposure to both, for the reasons that Liam said. Like either one of these could have a good game against Seattle. So
agreed. He's on my list. It's for me. It's that choosing which one it's going to be, Brown or Henderson. I kind of always feel that whichever one I go with is probably going to be the wrong one, and no one really knows. As with McVay's comments, even he apparently knows which one they're both going to be heavily involved.
if there's one thing to take from this season, you can't trust what Sean McVay says. So
No, exactly.
just go with what you think personally.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is why I'm actually splitting in a lot of my lineup.
Yeah.
I think I literally have almost down the middle between the two. I had zero clue as to which one it will be.
Jeez. Rich, who have you got?
I'm going to say Le'Veon Bell. Mentioned it just quickly, just pre-record. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is out, so we're going to see Le'Veon Bell. I think get given the opportunity. I think it might almost be like a playoff trial in some ways, because they're saying it's going to be a couple of weeks with a high ankle sprain, but we've seen before that these
they longer than that.
They can take longer than that. So I think they're going to maybe want to see what they have in Le'Veon Bell. This Atlanta Falcons defense, they are somewhat effective against running back. At least they're most effective against running back. You can say that as a fact. It's somewhat of a risky play, but I think at 5,800, like, you're getting a player who could get a big score.
Yeah. Cool. Who have I got? Let me see if I can scroll down. Naheem Hines. 5,000 going up against the Steelers. What is he? Is he 2 and a bit thousand cheaper than Jonathan Taylor?
2.3, yeah.
2.3. This is a kind of, for me, it's a bit of a gamble, because he's still seeing touches, which is good. Taylor's not seeing everything. And when he's given the ball, he looks explosive, because he's an explosive, quick little git. That I would really like the Colts to use as kind of a slot receiver. I'm not supposed to be saying for this game, but just really in general, because he's so shifty. He's got great hands. He's great with the ball in his hands as well. And I think with what I see is this Pittsburgh pass rush is going to come after Big Ben. Because they're probably going to be pissed off after especially losing to the Bengals. I think that I'm banking on Hines seeing a few more targets and a few more rush attempts. And at 5,000, I prefer his price than Jonathan Taylor at 7.3 this week. Do you boys kind of disagree, or do you agree on that, or again, is he in the section of meh?
Yeah, he's meh for me. I was a big Taylor guy last week, and that worked well, luckily. But I don't know. I don't think I'll be getting to Hines. Maybe in tournaments, but I don't know. It's not a play that appeals to me personally.
Rich, is he meh to you?
I would agree with your last statement, which is that you prefer him to Jonathan Taylor at the price.
Yeah.
But there are some other plays that I much prefer that are cheaper. So I'm probably not going to have him that much. But when I first saw the price for Jonathan Taylor, I was like, well, this is not Naheem Hines kind of game, because it's going to be more passing, I think, because they're going to want to try and get out of the pass rush, which means little dump offs over the top of Watt and the pass rushers. So
yeah. Cool. Liam, who else have you got?
Yes, I don't love this play, but Giovanni Bernard is kind of hard to ignore. I believe he's 4,800, Jamie. 4,800.
Yeah.
Literally going up against the worst defense against the run in Houston. 31.7 points given up DK wise since week 11. And last night we kind of saw Giovanni Bernard finally do something, which is nice. 2 touchdowns, 83 yards on the ground, 14 in the air, and he won't get a better matchup all year to do something in this offense with Finley at the helm. Seems to be somewhat capable. So it's exciting going against a potential shootout that I think could happen in this game. As to which, Watson's slinging it everywhere, and Finley seems capable of doing the same. And I think Giovanni Bernard can have or find his place in this offense and do well in this game matchup for sure.
Agree, mate. I totally agree. Rich?
I have Jenny in mind as well, because I also think we almost need to have a segment where we see like the chalkiest play, because I feel like he will be
at that price, mate, quite possibly.
Yeah. Well, you think about the factors. Primetime game where he showed up, low price, and against Houston, like he's just going to be chalk because you've got all those factors. I've got Benny Snell. I'll just mention quickly because he's worth consideration at 5,300 if James Conner doesn't play. I'm expecting James Conner will play, but it's worth it's worth some consideration. So I don't really want to talk about him too much. One guy I do want to talk about is the guy who in 20 years' time I imagine will still be putting in touches, and that is Frank Gore. He just seems to be getting touches. Like Adam Gase,
he's an idiot.
He's a complete idiot. I mean, you shouldn't have won the game. Like, I don't know what you're trying to do.
Such a Jetsy thing.
It's such, yeah. But the touches are there. You're talking price 4,200. So can he get up to like 13 points? He did last game against the Rams, which is an effective defensive line. Cleveland have at times found themselves to be able to be beaten on the ground. I'm not expecting fireworks, but yeah, I'd much prefer Malcolm Brown in my lineup to Frank Gore. But
did you see how happy Frank Gore was when he got that final first down? He was like, yeah. Whereas every Jets fan was like, no.
Yeah. They're like, you ballsed it up, you idiot.
Do you think that obviously with the 2 games left and you've got the Jets and the Jags on the same schedule, but not same schedule, the same record.
The Jags have
the tiebreaker. If you're the Jags, don't you immediately change one of your defensive linemen and is positioned to quarterback and play him for the next 2 games?
No, I just play Mike Glennon, who will probably do me the same job.
I think they might do a little bit better, but I've got where am I going?
I just want to say one thing about the Jets as well.
Yeah,
I was half expecting, in football you see someone have a bad result and then they get sacked. I was half expecting to see news Van and Gase is sacked because the back office when you've won a game and that is entirely not what we needed, you're sacked.
Yeah, you can't even do that right.
Yeah,
I've got another running back for the Jets, which I've got Ty Johnson. And the touches he's seen, especially last week, it was 6 targets, and we all know Sam Darnold loves a little dump off pass. I think Frank Gore saw a couple, especially including the one that won in the game last week as well. I kind of think that they might. This is more of a hunch. I think that they might want to see more of what they've got with Ty Johnson this week and next week. Against Las Vegas, when he was given the role, when Frank Gore went down, he was 22 for 104 and a touchdown. He looked pretty good. And last week was only three rushing attempts for 16 yards, but 6 receptions, 39 and a touchdown for 17 points. I think at 4.5, it's a risk. It's a massive risk, but I think there's some real 4 times value upside there for him, and I kind of prefer him to Frank Gore, even though he's a little bit more expensive. But yeah, you got to have some balls to play a New York Jets player this week, or any week, basically. Anyone else, boys?
No, so you mentioned Ty Johnson there. I quite like that call. Malcolm Brown, as we know. Yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
Rich?
Nah, let's move on.
Cool. All right. Liam, starts off with wide receivers.
2 in the same game for me. T. Higgins, 4,700. he led the week 15 target share with 46.2%. Admittedly, that was only 6 targets from the 13 that Finley threw, but he's still top. I expect this game to be a shootout, as I said. Both teams scored points on either defense, and Higgins has been that consistent guy in this hot offense who continuously gets targets no matter the QB change, and does well. And Houston a bad defense. That's basically the summary of it. And Higgins is quite cheap because Cincinnati has been such a poor offense recently, but has picked up the past few weeks. Like his play a lot actually, and I think he's in quite a lot of my lineups at 4,700.
Cool. Rich.
I've got 3 that I'm going to mention all at the same time because basically the Jets wide receivers.
Oh, yeah.
So I am definitely cheating there, but they're all worth. I can all talk myself into either one of them, any of them. Sorry. So you've got Crowder at 4,500, Perriman at 3,800, and Mims at 36. This Jets offense seems like it stalls, but then it somewhat splutters into life a little bit. And during that splutter, one of these guys could have a good performance. Crowder is the obvious guy to get the dump offs, but Perriman can get downfield and get into this secondary. He should have somewhat of success, and Mims is the kind of hybrid player between the two. So I can kind of talk myself into any of them. I'll probably end up having more of Perriman, just because I think he's got more boom opportunity. But they're all worth considering for me.
Rich, there's no love for Jeff Smith? Rich? Jeff Smith? Rich?
Let's move on. Well, no, I'm not buying. Move on.
I've got one. DJ Moore going up against Washington. He's been really consistent, and kind of he does a lot with what he gets. I say kind of earlier in the season, it was very much like he was seeing like 3, 4, 5 odd targets, and even with those, he was still finding 20-point games, 25-point games, breaking off a big run. Week 11 was 11 targets or 127, and last week against Green Bay, it was 8 targets, 6 receptions, 131 yards, 22.2 points. He's 5'8", 5,800. I think they're finally using him more and how he should be used. Robbie Anderson, I think, saw 2 targets against the Packers last week. Carolina aren't a very good offense. They're a mediocre to good offense. And the fact that CMC has been out, I don't know if he's going to be out this week. There's kind of reports saying if he doesn't train Wednesday, then he's going to be ruled out. Has anyone else seen that?
No, first time I heard about it. Actually, so.
I think it was Rule has said he needs to see CMC training on a Wednesday, I believe. So it'll be interesting. I think Moore is a real kind of upside play because, you can get 24, 22 points, but then you could be a bit pissed off and get 8 to 10. So this Washington defense is very, very good. I expect Bridgewater need to get the ball out of his hands very quickly, and DJ Moore will see a fair few targets this week for me. Liam, I suspect, I'm just going to guess who your next guy is. Is it Kiki Kuti?
It's not. No.
Is it the other one?
It is the other one, yeah.
He's all the way down. What price is he?
4,400, I believe.
44. I've gone past him. Is it Chad Hansen?
Yeah, Chad Hansen. He should have fun against his assignment this week. Gallup was on LaShawn Sims last week, and before he got off injured, he had a touchdown and was being dotted up by Dalton the whole game. Since coming in for the Will Fuller, he's been pretty consistent. The 3 games he has been double digits every week in terms of DK points. Seen even with a poor target share last week from Watson, he still managed to get it. So I'm really not concerned about him, not hitting value at all. And I'll say it quite a few times say it again. It's going to be a shootout, in my opinion. And I think it's one of the safer cash value plays in this whole slate.
Anybody else?
Yeah, one more for me as well. Yeah.
Go on then, Liam.
Well, Russell Gage.
51, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned Jamie regarding this heavy pass gaming script, and obviously me and you, Jamie, had that interesting situation with Gage last week.
Oh man, it was
so frustrating.
Last minute took him out.
Yeah, literally, me and Jamie both took him out, and then in the first 5 minutes of red zone, he gets a touchdown.
Oh, brutal.
See, not making that same mistake again, especially if Julio is out, which you'd imagine he will be, right? It's heavy pass game script. Ryan quite likes Gage, and I'm expecting similar target share and similar points totals from him.
Yeah. Rich, who's your other one?
I've got two, and they're the exact same two that I had last week. Hold your nose. Alshon Jeffrey, 3,200.
What did you say you thought last week? You just had a feeling he was getting 2 touchdowns.
I said it's not a possibility, but
he saw 3 targets, which is an uptick.
He did quite well with the targets as well. I still think it's a similar kind of thing. He could see some red zone touchdowns. I'm not expecting him to be a massive field stretcher, but the price is so low. Like both of these are GBP plays. I'm not playing either of them in cash, but if you want to have one of the more premier stacks, then these are guys that you can bring your salary back in check. There's Alshon Jeffrey and there's Bryant.
How far down is Des Bryant?
He's 3,000. So
I'm in.
Yeah, you might just want to search him instead if you want to bring him up.
You'll be scrolling all day.
Yeah. I mean, both, as I said, both of these are GBP plays, but Des saw a little bit of a downtick in snaps, but I think you'll see more against the Giants. Let's not forget that he was added to the COVID list late against Dallas, I think it was. But we've seen that he can, 11. You can see it on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. 11 yards, 1 touchdown. That kind of made him almost hit value, 8.1 points for a 3,000 salary. It's not ideal, but I mean, he knows how to beat the Giants. He's done it for years when he was the premier receiver for Dallas. So.
Cool. Neither of them are on my list.
Yeah, I mean, they're punts, but
yeah.
I think they're worth consideration.
Yeah, no, I can totally see where you're coming from, mate. I've got Rich already mentioned the Jets wide receivers. I like Crowder the most there. Liam's already mentioned Hansen for the Texans. I like Kuti in that game. I do like Hansen as well. I think Kuti's seen a score. I think he's scored a touchdown in the last couple of weeks, hasn't he? I believe. What price?
Yeah, I believe he has. Yeah,
54. Pardon me while I try and find Kiki.
He's a wide receiver.
If I look at wide receivers, it's always handy, isn't it? So 7 targets last week and a touchdown. Week 4, 3 targets, 3 receptions and a touchdown. Even with Brandon Cooks coming back, he's still a part of this offense. He's seen more targets than Hansen, what he did last week anyway, with Cooks coming back. I don't think that drop is going to... I think when Bill O'Brien was coach and he had I think he fumbled a touchdown of the ball in the end zone and it was returned by, I think it was by the Ravens for a touchdown, I believe. He was sat for a couple of weeks. And Crenell, I was looking down here, he says, he's got to shake it off and move forward because he has to play next week because they haven't got anybody else. I love Watson this week, so I'm going to like his wide receivers, and I quite like Kiki QT. Tim Patrick, it's always Tim Patrick appreciation week for me. If I think I don't hate Drew Lock this week. I think they need to put up points, and Tim Patrick he's just been very solid. I say last week, only 4 targets, 3 receptions, 14 yards against Buffalo, but he's kind of. I see him as they're kind of alongside Noah Fant, their kind of red zone target as well. And a 4,200, I quite like him. That's me done. Let's hit tight ends. Liam, where are we going?
Let's go Cole Kmet, 3K.
Going back to the well.
Well, not for me personally. I didn't actually play too much Kmet last week. But yeah, he let a lot of people down last week. But it felt like more of an anomaly performance. He saw 100% snap count last week, which he hasn't had all season. So, the coach staff obviously like him. Trubisky obviously likes him, especially if he's having more say in the playbook. If you believe that, if it's coming from his mouth, then I bloody hope it's true. He's just not. He didn't get thrown the ball last week, and I don't see it happening back-to-back weeks. And Jacksonville haven't been a great defense against Titans all season. But if you want to narrow it down to like a 5-week sample, they've been giving up 12.8 DK points to Titans per game. And I'm expecting Kmet to see more of what he's seen against Detroit and Houston in 7 targets a game, as opposed to what he got last week with just the 2.
Cool. Rich?
I'm going to shoot again and mention 2. So Ertz and Goddard for Philly. So Zach Ertz, you see it, 7 targets, only 2 receptions. He did really well with them. I think what you'll see that reception number increase and the yardage total probably stay around about the same. He's one of the few kind of reliable pass catchers. Well, they both are one of the 2 of the more reliable pass catchers that Jalen Hurts has. And we've seen before with running quarterbacks, tight ends typically have a little bit more value, just because they seem to open up more space with linebackers having to spy on the QB. So at the prices, Zach Ertz is 3,100. Dallas got it as 3,600.
Both fair prices, really.
Yeah, I think they're fine.
Cool. I've got 2 that I quite like. Hayden Hurst for the Falcons. The Chiefs, I think, are allowing the 6th most. I think it's in receptions. Can't remember which one it is. They're not very good against tight ends, to put it that way. He's had a couple of down weeks. Last week wasn't great. Again, only 5 targets, 4 receptions, 21 yards, and a touchdown. But it's the narrative. The Falcons have got to throw the ball. So I'm getting a piece of that game is quite important for me. So 3,400 against the Chiefs, I quite like. And the other one is Jordan Akins. He finally learned how to catch the ball last week. Caught 5 out of 6 for 50. 10 points. He's 3,300 going against Cincinnati. The Bengals are god awful against tight ends. I love Deshaun Watson this week, so I'm gonna like his big targeted tight end in Jordan Akins, 3,300. Liam, got anybody else?
I'll just quickly back up what you said about Hurst in terms of Kansas City being bad against tight ends. So past 5 weeks, they've been the 31st ranked defense against tight ends, 21.5 DK points given up per game. But the 2 guys that I like are actually taking on the 32nd, ranked defense against tight ends, and that's Austin Hooper and Harrison Bryant.
Yeah.
Both in, as I said, great matchups. I believe New York Jets give up the most touchdowns to tight ends in the league, and I'd expect, right. Yeah, it sounds about right, don't it? Yeah, I believe it's 12 or 13 this season, and I'd expect one of these guys to get at least 1 touchdown. Obviously, Hooper has that floor of more targets, but maybe Harrison Bryant's GPP plays really want to pay down and maybe shoot for that touchdown upside. I would not be against that at all, as it's happened before.
Yeah,
and if you really need that, and with the amount of plays that we've got recently in terms of like paying up for certain players, I think that's a good shout.
Cool. Right. Let's go on to defense. Seeing as I moved the Rams from my cheap to my high price, I don't have a defense in this kind of price range. What about you boys? Rich, what have we got?
I don't have one. I was actually going to say, for me, I'm basically spending up on all of the other positions and then just finding a defense that I don't hate in that I can fit in my lineup.
Okay, so I'm just going to quickly have a look at this. Let's say you've got 2,400 to play with. You're going Cowboys, Broncos, Bengals, Jags, Jets, or Falcons. Pick one, Rich.
I'll go Cowboys.
Yeah.
They've shown up recently. They're putting some pressure on the quarterback. Jalen Hurts has shown that he can be sacked but still be effective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
15 and 18 points last 2 weeks for the Cowboys. Liam, who have you got?
Yeah, if we're going off that 2,400 price bracket, then I think it is Dallas, right? I don't think you can make an argument for any of the other defenses when the Cowboys are where they are. I've been having an hour over Philadelphia. I'm not sure what I'm doing with them just yet. Obviously, they're proving they can get to the QB, and I'd say Dalton is sackable.
Yeah.
I just don't know whether they can generate the turnovers yet. And that's why I'm kind of aiming to pay that $200 more just to get up to Los Angeles.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it for me.
Cool. Well, I think we've just got through the high and then the mid to low value kind of price range players that we like. Shall we get on to some stacks?
Yes, do it, yeah.
Rich, start us off with your stack number 1 that you like this week. Shock us. Go on, shock us.
Well, just depends how big money bags you want to be. So there's the option of Mahomes, Hill, and Kelsey, which is beyond expensive. I didn't even work it out. It's that much. I think it's £1 million. I think
Mahomes is 85. Kelsey is
85.
So they're 17, and then Tyreek Hill 26,000. Half of your budget on those 3. Ballsy.
Yeah. It is ballsy.
See if you can fit Calvin Ridley in with that.
No, I don't think you could.
I think you'd struggle. I generally do as well. Liam, starts with your one, mate.
Really reliant on Bryant, didn't you?
Liam, what about you, mate?
Yeah, I mentioned these two, like T. Higgins and Chad Henson, as like a stack of opposite teams. I think both get decent volume in this one, and it's going to be a shootout. So yeah, nice cheap stack up. Was it like 9100s? Oh, 9100s or that. Yeah. So
I've got Matt Ryan, Calvin Ridley, Hayden Hurst, triple stack at 17,700 against the Chiefs. They've got to throw the ball. They've got to somehow try and score some points, and these 3 will be probably the main guys. Rich, number 2 stack.
Herbert Allen.
What does it come to? What are their prices?
Herbert is 34 and Allen is 75. That's 14.9.
You've got a calculator there.
No, I'm an accountant.
No. Yeah. So yes, you've got a calculator there.
Yeah, I can add up 2 numbers just about, maybe.
just about. Liam, who else have you got?
Yeah, it's a classic running back defense stacks for me. So Montgomery and Bears defense, it's pretty standard. If the Bears defense are doing well, Montgomery's going to get touches. And then I'll save my 3rd stack because it's on the fairly similar lines.
Okay. I've got a Watson, Cootie, and Aiken stack, which comes to 16.6 going up against the Bungles. Rich, have you got a 3rd one, or are you all out of stacks?
I'm all out.
Liam?
Yeah, so whether you prefer Darrell Henderson or Malcolm Brown, play either of those with the Rams defense. I think you're going to get value either way.
Yeah.
Love all 3 plays, to be honest. So whichever one you prefer at running back.
Cool. I don't have a 3rd stack. They're the 2 I quite like. Let's do player of the week. I will start. My player of the week is David Montgomery. Boring, straight to the point. 7,700 against the Jags. Yeah, love him this week. Liam?
I'm going to go Travis Kelce, 8,500. Just getting target share. He can't ask much more already at tight end. I think he'll do it well every week, quite frankly.
Yeah. Rich?
I don't want to play. I had David Montgomery number 1, Travis Kelce number 2.
There we go.
Tyreek Hill?
I'll say Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Let's go bust of the week. Rich, who's going to bust this week at their price?
I didn't have a bust of the week. Yeah. So just give me a sec.
Okay. Liam, what about you?
Go if you want. Rams wide receivers in general. So Cup and Woods, more importantly. As we mentioned, Seattle's been better against the pass the sort of past 5 weeks as a sample in general. I believe they're like a top 10 defense, I think, in pass defense. So yeah, I'm avoiding the Rams passing game altogether. And I think, as you mentioned, I think Henderson and Brown are going to be the way they win this game if they do.
Okay, I've got I don't know if it's a bold bust of the week. My bust of the week is DK Metcalf. He's gone up against Jalen Ramsey again. He was shut down. He was 4 targets, 2 catches, and 28 yards in the last game. It's brave. It's really brave. I feel it's brave going up, saying DK is going to do nothing. But yeah, the last matchup with these, he was shut down. So Ramsey's a fantastic corner. So yeah, I'm probably not going to have much DK Metcalf in. Well, I'm not going to have any this week. I'm just a bit worried. I'm a bit worried. Right, guys. So we've just done the stacks, the play of the week, and the bust of the week. Let's get on with our lineup for the week. Who won last week? Liam.
I believe I did. Yeah.
Yeah, he's absolutely smashed it last week.
I had a good week. I targeted the Cardinals quite a lot, as I said, and this worked out for me. So yeah, nice.
It definitely did. It definitely did. Same format as per usual. QBs and running backs, wide receivers, tight end, flex, and DST. Rich, as per usual, you can start us off with your quarterback. I wonder who it is.
Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes. Shock horror. Liam, who is yours?
Jalen Hurts.
I've gone with Deshaun Watson, 7,600 against the Bengals. Running back 1, Rich, who is yours?
Le'Veon Bell.
I can see where this is going. We'll see 58? 58 against Falcons. Liam?
Dave Montgomery.
Yeah, I've got Dave Montgomery, 77 against the Jags. Rich, is you're running back to Darrell Williams of the Chiefs by any chance?
No, Malcolm Brown.
45. Is he 45?
4K, isn't he?
4K, geez. You're running back 2, Liam?
Darrell Henderson, 45.
My running back 2 is Miles Sanders at 7,000 going up against the Cowboys.
Like it.
Your wide receiver 1, please.
Tyreek Hill.
9,500, is it?
9K.
Sorry, I haven't got it in front of me and I haven't got them on my list. So, yours, Liam?
Russell Gage, 5,100.
I've gone with Calvin Ridley at 8,500 against the Chiefs. Rich, your wide receiver 2.
Rashad Perriman.
Wow.
I'm so proud of you for getting it. Your wide receiver 2, Liam?
T. Higgins.
My wide receiver 2 is Jameson Crowder at 4,500 going up against the Browns. Rich, your wide receiver 3.
Alshon Jeffrey.
He's really having to skim busily to fit these players in. Liam, who's your wide receiver 3?
Chad Hansen.
My wide receiver 3 is McCole Hardman, 3,100. Going up against the Falcons. Rich, your tight end is Travis Kelce for 8,500.
That is correct.
Liam, your tight end is?
Travis Kelce.
My tight end is Jordan Akins at 3,300 going up against the Bengals, stacking him with Deshaun Watson. Rich, your flex is?
Giovanni Bernard.
4,800. Liam?
Giovanni Bernard.
And I've got Giovanni Bernard as well at 4,800. Okay, bring it a little bit back against Watson and Akins. And your defense, Rich, is? Say the Jets. Say the Jets. Say the Jets. It's the Jets.
Yeah, 2,000.
Liam, who's yours?
Los Angeles Rams.
Yeah, I've got the Rams as well at 3,100. Rich, can you run us down your whole team, please?
Yeah, I might actually just pivot to Cowboys because I do have 2,400. So I'm going to take that to Cowboys now.
That might be a good idea.
Yeah. Okay, so my entire team is Patrick Mahomes quarterback, Le'Veon Bell running back with Malcolm Brown. Wide receivers are Tyreek Hill, Rashad Perriman, and Alshon Jeffrey. Tight end is Travis Kelce. Flex is Giovanni Bernard, and DST is now the Cowboys.
Liam, run us yours.
So yeah, QB is Jalen Hurts, running backs David Montgomery and Darrell Henderson, wide receivers Russell Gage, T Higgins, Chad Hansen, tight end Travis Kelce, flex is Giovanni Bernard, and the defense is the Los Angeles Rams.
Mine is Deshaun Watson at quarterback, David Montgomery and Miles Sanders at running back, Calvin Ridley, Mecole Hardman and Jameson Crowder as my wide receivers, Jordan Akins as my tight end, Gio Bernard as my flex, and the Rams DST as my defense. What I'm going to do, boys, is because I think, that, especially with Rich, he's kind of been quite one team expensive heavy. I'm going to put a poll up again this week, and we'll see what people think who's probably going to win. And I'm guessing it might be Rich's this week.
I mean,
I don't know. Them wide receivers are a bit ropey.
they are ropey. I didn't know this was going to be going to a poll, otherwise I may not have seen this poll.
Oh no, we're polling this. We are going to poll this. But
Yeah.
no, I'm interested to see how that lineup does actually.
Yeah, definitely.
I think there's going to be quite a few people who have different variations of a Mahomes, Kelce, Hill stack, and then just do one lineup, 25 lineups like that, and then basically 25 different lineups with all the cheaper wide receivers, and just hope one of them wins.
I mean, I could see a lot of Kelce and Hill and no Mahomes, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people have been doing it recently just to save budget, quite frankly.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Because Mahomes is what?
85.
85. So yeah, you can have Jalen Hurts as you did for 1,500 less, or Herbert for 1,100.
Well, you could potentially bring it back with Matt Ryan and not Calvin Ridley, Russell Gage.
Yeah, you could do that.
Potentially, I don't know what about the price rise on that, but maybe you could. So yeah, that'll be interesting. Rich, where can we find you?
You find me Rich King FF or KFancy_sport.
And your website?
KingFancySports.com.
Liam, where can we find you?
Dolphin Abroad on Twitter.
And your website?
dolphinabroad.wordpress.com.
Lovely. You can find me on Twitter at Jamie_BarhamKM. Season Long DFS is at Season Long DFS on Twitter. Website is www.seasonlongdfs.com. Boys, how many teams have you got in Dynasty finals this week? Or don't you know?
I don't know, to be honest. Not a lot.
I got screwed last week in a lot of places.
I was expecting to meet you. Expected to meet you in that final, Rich, and you're not there.
Yeah, I know.
You shit the bed.
All right, mate. Why do you crack open another shandy, giving it big bollocks?
It's Iron Brew, actually. Iron Brew today. I'm in 4 finals, which I'm quite disappointed about, but it should be 5 because I needed the Steelers DST and Chase Claypool to get 19 points. Fuck them.
Yeah, I had a couple of spots where I was like, I only need a couple of points from the Steelers D. Finals with nice one, baby. Then I'm like, what? What is this?
Brutal. One of the leagues, the high stakes auction league I'm in one of the semi-finals, it was decided by 0.02 points.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was that after stat corrections as well?
We're waiting on stat corrections. One of them had the person who won ended up having Juju, who gave him 1.5 points, and the other guy had Eric Ebron, who gave him a big fat 0. So that is brutal. 0.02 points. Ouch. Enjoy this week's game. Enjoy Christmas. What am I talking about? Enjoy Christmas. I don't suspect we're going to be going anywhere, are we?
No.
We're all tier 4s.
Well, I'm tier 3, but soon to be tier 4, I think.
So I'm tier 3. You're better than us. We know.
I've been tier 3 for months. It's about time everyone else got to the tier 3 standard or tier 4 standard.
Were you tier 3 or 4?
Right. We've been a bit like Bane there. Like I was born as I'm tier 4.
Yeah.
Which is great. I saw a tweet earlier, which I fully agree with, which is I think we should try and sign the New Zealand Prime Minister during the January transfer window. I don't know what it would cost.
Jacinda Ardern, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know what it would cost, but I feel like it'd be worth it.
Cheaper than Brexit.
Even if you only wanted to do it on a part-time basis, maybe from like 9 o'clock to 10:30 on a Wednesday, I'd still take that.
Yeah.
So.
Agreed. So yeah, enjoy Christmas. Eat lots, drink lots, and spend time with the family that you can actually spend time with in your household. I hope Santa brings you everything you want. Maybe a nice big DFS win at the weekend.
That'd be nice. Yeah,
that'd be quite nice. And we've got 2 more weeks left of the season of DFS competition. It's getting stacked up now, which is quite interesting. We've got the leader, M. Garvey, I think he's 80 points ahead now. So I think he's in the bag. Because it's similar to last year. Jason had this kind of points leading, I think, up in the last couple of weeks, and he sauntered home is the word I'll use. He sauntered home. So yeah, it's balls to the wall now.
Welcome to my.
Welcome to Rich as well.
Action, Jeff. That's fine. That's all you need to know, mate.
Exactly. Liam, are you 4th?
5th after you added your score. So I'm
I'm
not too far off the cash prizes. Not too far.
I'm in 3rd by 2 points.
Wow.
I've had 6 weeks of like 130 or below. It's been fucking brutally horrible.
Yeah, it's so annoying. If I'd added my Cardinals lineup to this, I would be in 2nd, I think.
Yeah.
So it's just annoying, but it is what it is, unfortunately.
I did 5 lineups last week, and it was like 190, 180, and 160, and I think another 180. And then I did the one for season on DFS, and it gave me 113 points. Cheers for that.
Yeah.
Oh well, shit happens. We'll go again next week. Thanks for joining me, lads. Have a good Christmas again. Enjoy the American football this weekend, and I'll catch you next week.
See you then.
Peace out.